Konosuba. A perverted protagonist, a whiny useless goddess, and per diem alcoholic, a lolly that gets into way too many compromising situations for literally no reason, and a rich blonde masochist who wants somebody to annihilate him. Together, these four form the breadcrumbs to one of the biggest animes of the 2010s. Because yes, folks, it's just another day in anime hell. Welcome, gamers, to this wonderful world.
Hurry up and defeat the Devil King already so I can go back home!
Konosuba was originally released in 2017, and its relevance has only grown as Japan continually pumps out more and more isekai every day. For example, reincarnated as a sword, reincarnated as a vending machine, reincarnated as a slime, reincarnated as this dog that this cute girl owner wants to I mean, man, what the hell is going on? Well, I think it comes down to profit margins. It's easier for a studio to adapt an existing work than create an original one with new writers, character designers, and whatever else comes in the creative line of fire. Plus, it's something they might be more interested in doing if it has something to do with shock value rather than people actually being interested in a good plotline. Hence that last one. So they make a new anime adaptation, and wouldn't you know, it's an isekai again because for some reason isekai is still popular in 2024 because of course it is. To be honest, I get why though. I think it's really fun to imagine yourself whisked away to another world. There's obviously the wet male fantasy side of it, which takes up about 70% of the reasoning, but even besides that element, it would be really cool to tromp through forests with your sword-wielding buddies and run across fields, slay enemies, collect coins, and sit down for a warm meal at the tavern after your big adventure. That's just a fun fantasy to believe in, no matter where you come from. I think it's why when I was just getting into anime and I watched SAO for the first time, I loved it so much. Because I wanted to be him and he was literally me. Well, maybe not literally, but you get the point. Isekai's appeal is immersion, and the insert me into this world story will always be popular. So likewise, Isekai will always have its avid fanbase. And if people keep watching it, then companies will keep making it because it's cheaper than experimental shows and there's a guarantee of profit with low risks. This is largely why the modern landscape of anime is so oversaturated with this kind of stuff rather than stuff like this. But what makes Konosuba so great is that it satirizes every aspect of isekai and capitalizes on this with its wacky list of antics that in all honesty is pretty conservative when you consider how much farther some shows have gone for comedy's sake. Konosuba never takes itself seriously, constantly reaching into the RPG world and making fun of its existing tropes, and because of this, it is one of the best depictions of isekai I've ever seen in anime. So let's talk some more about that.
All we have to do is find the guild.
Kazuma is a lonely otaku who jumps in front of a tractor to save somebody before finding out his death was completely unnecessary and he died from shock. He wakes up in purgatory where the beautiful but crass goddess Aqua proceeds to laugh at and shit on him for 5 minutes before giving him a choice of places to go. He could go to heaven where they sit in the grass and eat chips all day with no sex allowed, or he could spice it up in the Demon King realm with swords and knives and girls. She also stipulates that he could take any one thing with him. So our protagonist, of course, does what any classy pro gamer would. He chooses Aqua herself, much to her dismay, and drags the goddess kicking and screaming down to the lowly realm of the Isekai RPG insert random game world. And that's episode 1. From here, Aqua kind of adjusts to life sleeping in a horse stall and helping Kazuma scrape by to get fed. It reminds me of those nomadic encounters of the characters in Samurai Champloo and how half the episodes were just Mugen, Jin, and Fu trying to get some food in their feeble stomachs or gorging themselves in eating contests. Konosuba's early episodes have that hilariously cheeky, okay, but what now kind of attitude that matches so well with the absurd humor of what's going on. This continues as we see Kazuma go from laughingstock of the community to an actually pretty good guildmaster and proud homeowner soon enough. Best of all, you can grow with these guys as they fight monsters, do a bunch of stupid shit, and ultimately progress towards their ultimate goal of defeating the Demon King. Aqua wants to do this because when she does, she can go back to being a figurehead in purgatory, and Kazuma, well, I'm sure he has his reasons. There's a ton of creative ways the show finds to subvert the expectations of the audience and satirize known dynamics of the RPG world. In one of my favorite episodes, this is demonstrated in perfect comedy gold as Kazuma and company travel to a resort town only to be trapped among a community full of crazy religious cultists, all of whom worship Aqua the water goddess. Yeah, that one. But they don't believe she's the actual goddess, so things get kinda messy after a while. This episode was straight up laugh out loud material. Part of what makes it so damn funny is the fact that there are genuinely places like this in the world, with people who will go to every length to rope you into their faith, even resorting to violence if it means getting another devout follower in the end. It's both scary as well as relevant, and somehow the writers successfully make these four main knuckleheads look normal and even bordering on sensible. Like, how the hell did they pull that off? Everyone sucks in this show. I don't just mean on a moral level, literally just their personalities are complete dog water. But man, are they entertaining because of it. If you know my other videos, you know how much I love Urusei Yatsura and Ranma and many of the works of Rumiko Takahashi. Part of why I love these stories is because the characters are hilarious when they're all thrown into a mixing pot together. They are equally terrible to each other, so most of the time it feels like whenever one character blows another one away, it was well deserved. I love opening up a volume of Urusei Yatsura and just watching the teachers and students beating the living crap out of one another in a complete breakdown of conventional society. And that same energy exists here. Kazuma is a lout. He's immature, rude, perverted, and greedy. But Aqua is gluttonous, lazy, annoying, and spends all of their money on booze and other useless garbage. These two really balance each other out, and it forces them to work together, and somehow in the mix, they learn to trust and care for one another. Plus, Aqua's the only character Kazuma hasn't tried to seduce. Yet. So when they actually have a genuine moment, it makes that second all the more meaningful. Before Aqua, of course, goes back to getting drunk on everyone else's money, and Kazuma puts his hands on a girl, and, well, they end up getting run out of town by a mob and are sleeping in the back of a haystack again. It's not like this world doesn't have decent, kind-hearted people, though. It does. It's just the main four that represent everything that isn't decent people. Well, mostly. Okay, so let me explain. If Aqua and Kazuma represent one half of the group, the others are, of course, these two. And they both bring something very interesting to the table. Megumin is the kid of the group. She's hardworking, nice, and probably the most normal one of the four. She can also, after a very long period of time, create an explosion spell that destroys everything in sight. Very useful for the party. So she's pretty great. She's also 14, and Kazuma's not 14, and, well, yeah. Read into it what you will, but regardless, the guy's a total horn dog, and he definitely makes some questionable decisions along the way. I mean, I swear, Kazuma sees a girl and just goes... Like, it's hard to make this stuff up. But I'm gonna leave it there for the anime forums to debate and move on to the last major character in this show. So, Darkness is the last major member, and she is something. First introduced as the most sensible, promising member of the four, she is soon outed as the weirdest, most perverted, masochistic member of the group. She loves being insulted, destroyed, abused, and sacrificing herself not for the sake of martyrdom, but because the pain gets her off. I'd go further in description, but I think once she gets established, most people know exactly how her personality is going forward. That being said, she is genuinely good with a sword and helps the others quite a bit, at least when she's not salivating at the thought of death or getting possessed by an evil spirit and enjoying it to the point where the evil spirit can't take it anymore and just leaves. But yeah, she's extremely entertaining and most of the time a pretty good addition to the guild, when she's not a bad addition to the guild. Other characters include Yunyun, the cute girl who acts as Megumin's school rival but really just wants a friend in her, and a few antagonists of the story, like Wolbach, who was Megumin's mentor and has, What is a boob window? Oh, there's a term for that? Huh. I guess now that I know, it makes complete sense, but who knew? I wouldn't have known unless someone told me. So the characters are great in Konosuba, mostly because how badly they treat one another and how entertaining it is. But in the end, everyone kind of balances each other out, and it keeps me coming back for more whenever they get into some banter on screen. It's a really fun time. People love this show. It's largely become an anime classic as new seasons are announced and fan art of the four can be found virtually anywhere. Yes, this includes porn sites. I've got some merchandise myself, including this cute picture and this Aqua figure as well, which I paid way too much money for. I love it though. But as we go on to over 8 years of isekai dominating the anime market and flooding internet culture, I can say there's at least one show that is self-aware enough to call out all of the ways in which this genre has become a bloated, tedious, formula-driven, and over-sexualized collection of dumpster fires. There's been a few good shows, of course, there always are, but while that may be, this genre has also led to more bad anime than any other one I can think of. Except maybe Harem. But would I recommend this to a non-anime fan? I don't think so, to be honest. See, one of the reasons Konosuba struck a chord with me and so many others in the anime community is because we went into this show already familiar with all of the stupid tropes that get overused in a lot of anime out there. Konosuba takes a pretty raw dump on these platitudes and doesn't shy away from making fun of itself, and that's what makes it great. But I'm sure if someone from outside the community came in and started watching anime with not much prior knowledge on these types of tropes, they might just find the show really weird, unpolished, annoying, and inappropriate. Even though that's the point of the show, I can see why someone who wasn't familiar with anime would be like, what the hell is this? So yeah, I'm not telling anyone who isn't pretty seasoned in anime to watch it, they'd probably just think I'm crazy. But in this day and age, so many people watch anime that I feel a show like this can still thrive within this one community. Back in high school, many years ago now, there were quite a few kids who stopped talking to me or would avoid me just because they found out I liked anime. And you know, all complex terminology aside, that was just shit. I try not to worry about it, but back then anime felt like this special little thing that was just yours, partly because others didn't understand it and wouldn't even try. Now that's not the case at all. Weebs got the last laugh, for better or for worse. Chances are, if a new anime comes out, at least a few people in the room will have watched it, even the athletes, celebrities, and trendsetters in your corner of the world. Anime's cool now, but with that ushers a new era of unprecedented copycat shows, all trying to be the next great thing. Konosuba aims to poke fun at that, and it really succeeds. One of my favorite anime that came out before the anime boom of the 2010s is Lucky Star. Now, a lot of the references to very 2000s dated pulp culture is steeped into every aspect of this show, but I find I really relate to every little sequence it has, such as all of the weird convention rituals that people have to do when going to one, or even that 15-minute conversation to the pilot on how to properly eat a chocolate bun. It's kinda dumb, sure, but hey, that's life. It takes these weird little nuances and everyday mundanities and immortalizes them in a catchy moe blob. In that way, Lucky Star was like my generation's Konosuba. At the time, online anime closet culture and slice of life was big, so it made fun of that as a satirical response to the era, and Konosuba, likewise, is this generation's hot parody mess, which takes isekai and launches it into the Nexus stratosphere. But hey, at the end of the day, this show isn't something people should be sipping tea and having a complicated discussion about. This is a show to watch by yourself or with your buddies or maybe your partner, just for fun. Because if you're not watching it for fun, what's the point really? Konosuba is dumb, it's ridiculous, overtly horny, over-sexualized, overactive, and the opposite of respectful. It knows this, and so do I, and I love it for that. So tell me, do you like Konosuba? What's your favorite character? Let me know in the comments, and as always, like, subscribe, and I'll see you all in the next video. Thanks so much for watching.